everyone, welcome to Kelly's Creative Dream Studios. My name is Kelly. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in South Central Missouri, and I'm trying to get this to stay squared. Today is Scrapbook Saturday, which means I put together a scrapbook page, or sometimes a two-page layout, sometimes pocket scrapbooking. I'm just trying to get through my photos and get them out of boxes and into albums and get the memories documented while I can still remember them. This is a picture of Adrian at about 18 months old, maybe almost 2, right after they moved in with us. And I decided I wanted to pull in this minty green and the blue, but I wanted another contrasting color. So I brought out Barely Banana. Now I'm having to work with the 12 by 12 paper colors that I have, and a lot of them are not current Stampin' Up! Colors. But you know what? They were still Stampin' Up! They're still in my stash, and I'm still going to use them. And I encourage you to do the same thing. You don't have to buy the latest and greatest when you have a craft room or a stash full of stuff to use. Let me try turning on this other light and see what happens. Because I still feel like we've got a dark spot here. And it's really super bright outside, so let's see what that does. We still have a little bit of a shadow down here. But anyway, I can't see the photo. Whoa, that really blocks it out. But I leave in the center, I guess it's not bad. So I'm going to turn these two lights off. Nope, I like those better on. Okay, so what I decided to do was I pulled out a current color. Balmy blue matched her shirt the closest. Now I am not going to anchor this down because I want to make a copy of that, but my portable scanner is charging. So I've discovered that when I went to make a copy of this today. So I'm just going to lay that right there and let you see how this goes together. Now, because I don't have the balmy blue, excuse me, in 12 by 12, I did it in 2 strips of 6 by 6, and I'm going to go ahead and anchor that down, and I'm using the Stampin' Seal because I'm less likely to make a mess and get glue on Adrian's picture if I do. And I'm lining it up with the bottom edge. I'm coming in about the width of the paper over. And this is a great time to use your graph paper. And I've got that lined up. I want to come over about an inch. And I'll lay that down. And then I'll go ahead and put this one down. You don't have to be a demonstrator to use our graph paper. It is such a good product to use when you're trying to line things up. And then I'm going to come back down here and I'm going to pull this down so I can line up with the top of my graph paper up here. So when I put this down, I know I'm getting that square. Because, you know, we've discussed before about how I can't find the center of anything. Now, I decided this needed a little something else to break it up. And while this green doesn't match the yellowish green in her shirt, it does add a pop of color. And so I'm going to use the tear and tape on this one, and I'm going to use my graph, and I'm going to line it up. I'm going to square it up here and find my center right there, and that's how I'm going to use my tear and tape and get my tear and tape on there the way I want it. Except I'm going the wrong direction. I'm going to turn it this way so that I can see what I'm doing because it's going to be easier to run the tear and tape this way rather than trying to come down, and this way you get to see everything. And let's see, let me click off my pen here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to scoot this up just a little bit so it's centered. There we go. And then I'm going to lay this tear and tape. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to lay this right down to where it pairs up with that center line, but that's the center of that 6. And then I'm going to come back, and I know it's tear and tape, but I'm going to snip it off. And then I'm going to come back with my bone folder, and I'm going to burnish that into place so that stays right where I want it. Move Adrian here for just a minute, and I'm going to come back with my snips and snip that little extra off the end so it does not become a problem. And then when I've got that burnished, I'll use my take your pick tool, come up underneath the edge of there and pull that off. And then I'm going to come back in with my ribbon. The reason I didn't use the Stampin' Seal is because it's just a hair wider than the tear and tape. And you can see the difference in the width there. And so I would have had glue on the outside of the ribbon, and I wanted to make sure that it stayed underneath. And then I'm going to come back with my ribbon scissors. I need cleaned off. And snip that ribbon off. Just like that. Okay. Now we're back where we started from. Now we have to do something about this seam. So what I did, excuse me, is I punched several of the medium daisy from our medium daisy punch with the sparkly or with the shimmer white cardstock, and then I dusted it with Barely Banana. So it's got a little pop of color behind it. Now you can use any of our yellows. You could use Daffodil Delight. You could use So Saffron, whatever you want to use. Now I want to take glue dots and these are mini glue dots, and I'm going to adhere on 3 of them. Make sure I'm getting here on the glue dot. I don't think my head's in the way. Okay, and that's going to take care of those. Tear those out of the way, and again I'm going to use my bone folder and really just give them a good push because I want to make sure they're adhered on there. And then I'm going to take them off. And I'm not going to lay them on top of one another. I'm going to give them a quarter turn, just a little bit, so that the petals lay in between one another. That is going to add fullness to your flower. If you turn them at an angle like that, instead of laying them directly on top of one another, you'll get some dimension. And that's going to take care of that. Whoops. Good thing I'm cleaning the office tomorrow. I'm spending all day in the office tomorrow. I'm not doing anything else other than making Bob's banana muffins. Okay, now I do want to pop those up on here, and you'll see why here in just a minute. So I'm going to use my dimensionals, flip those over, because we want the pretty yellow on the front. Okay, and I'm going to start by getting that to turn loose. I'm going to start by putting my first flower here where this blue is seamed, and that's going to camouflage where we seamed those 2 pieces together. And then I'm just going to lay these up, and I'm going to kind of space them about the about the same width apart. And the weather is blowing something in, I can tell. Okay, I need to bring this one up just a hair more. Now, the other thing that I'm doing is, again, I'm going to bring the tear and tape across, and I'm going to put a piece of this green just across the bottom. And what that's going to do is when I put my title up here, it's going to balance the page out. So again, I'm going to square this up with a mark on my graph and use that as a pinpoint for me so I can get it straight. It's not about how far up I'm going with it, it's about whether or not I'm going to get it straight. So I'm on the 2-inch mark here, and that'd be the 3 over here. Wait a minute, oh, there we go, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. I'm going to be right there. So I'm going to come up and I want to go to that one right there. And there we go. So if you've got the grid paper, make use of it. If you don't, think about ordering it because it's really a handy thing to have. I'm going to stick that piece up there. I'm going to use my tool and burnish that down. And this one didn't get cut off the edge quite as well. Come back in with my pick tool. Get this pulled up. Just like that. And then come back in with my green ribbon. And lay that down. Whoops, I missed. But that's okay. It'll come up really easy. And I can square that up under there. That's better. Okay. This one actually needs to come up too. It's not up there either. That's why it looked crooked. Okay. Okay, then I went through my button stash. And I found these. But before we put the buttons on, I punched these from... I know the name of it. It's right here. I'm looking. Soft Seafoam. Punch the leaves from Soft Seafoam. And the reason these are popped up is because now I can come back in and I can tuck those behind. And I am going to use a little bit of the glue on those. I'm going to put a little bit, trying not to lose everything here. I am going to put a little bit here on my silicone mat. And then I can just dunk the edge in the glue. Probably going to need more glue than that. But it's a start. Right under there. I just don't want to get too much and have a mess. We'll see how that does. And I'm going to turn this again so you can see what's going on along the strip, and there with my buttons. And we're just going to tuck these in, and when we tuck them in, just give them a little bit of a push down. And they'll adhere in. Just push them down to your paper. And however you want to put them on there. Because they're either going to stick to the paper or they're going to stick to the back of your flower. Like that. Oops. Okay, now pick up my buttons that I threw on the floor. And I'm going to use the glue dots for these. Couldn't remember where I laid them. Okay, I need 3 of them. So I'm just going to tear that strip off. And now I just pulled these buttons out of my stash. If I'd have looked, I'd have probably found Stampin' Up! Buttons in my stash, because we did used to have buttons. We had them for all the color families. Some of the things we had, I wish they could bring back, because they were really good to work with. And buttons are always a good idea on a scrapbook page because they really bring out the dimension. Okay. Then we can slide Adrian back into place here. See how that's coming together? Now, when I looked at this, I just thought how big and bright her eyes were. So I used our Playful Alphabet, which is retiring, and punched out the letters for bright to spell bright eyes. Now I am not even going to pretend to glue these down till I can do them at a slower pace because my tremors just are not going to let me do that in a hurry. See, and I have so much trouble picking up things anymore. So I'll have to come back and do this when I have a steadier hand. Okay, now I think I had this coming over just a little bit more. So it was more like, and this is why I want to take time to do it on my own. Now I could use my Xyron machine and do that. And I may, but I'm going to have to take time to make sure I get all the adhesive out of the centers before I put it down. So then I decided that I needed something up here in the corner. So I don't have another one of those buttons, but I do have the medium daisy punch, which we have gotten rid of the large, but we're keeping the medium. And remember, everything that I'm using will be on the scrapbook page, on the scrapbook page, on my blog post. So you can click on the link in the description box below and go to the blog post, and you'll find direct links to my store for all of the items that I'm using that are available in Stampin' Up, such as our medium punch. The Playful Alphabet is good only through today. Today is the last day to get the Playful Alphabets. Okay, and then that's going to go there, and then I don't have any more of these wood buttons, but I thought I had one in here that I thought would really work, and that is this one right there. The other, oh wait a minute, I do have another one of those. I just found it. I don't know how I missed it earlier. I do have another one of those buttons. I was supposed to have it. There we go. Put those buttons back in the bag. I keep all of my buttons in these little jewelry bags, and they are stored in my scrap rack, which I still owe a gal a tour of the scrap rack. Hopefully I can get to that in the next couple of weeks, because I will be able to get to the scrap rack. That's always a plus. Okay, and then I have this coming around the corner, and I have Bright Eyes. And that is my scrapbook page for Adrian, and I will put a journaling block down here on the bottom, perhaps something here that will date it. I've got to go back and look at the date, and then I will put, let me see what I've got. I don't have anything small that I can put there, but I'll punch this really quick. Oh, this would work. I could punch one of these out of my ticket punch tag and date it. Put it off to the photo. I can put it on the ribbon next to the journaling box. But there we go. As soon as I can scan this picture, I will glue everything together. And that is my scrapbook layout for this weekend. I had hoped to get a couple more done before the end of this month, but the studio has to come first. So I will be back here on Monday with a Make It, Mail It card. I am at a creative retreat all this weekend online with my upline and a creative team. And we have a whole bunch of really cool card samples that have come down from the creative team that I can't wait to start making. And so I will bring you one of those on Monday. I think I'm going to do the 6x6 card design. So we'll see. In which case I'll do part of them on Monday and part of them on Tuesday, and that will take care of that. So in the meantime, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and creative blessings from me and Bright Eyes.